I mean, if you were a person who was actually going through this, you know, like Charles Ball, who's sold into the slave trade from Maryland in 1805 and marched down to South Carolina and then later into Georgia, it was a violent and horrific experience, particularly for young men, especially if they had something to fight for. There was a great deal of danger at the moment of purchase for the whites who were involved. So what they were worried that this young man might fight back, so they would bring a bunch of guys with them, and they would try to take the individual who was being sold by surprise. The deal had been made somewhere else, but for instance, Charles Ball is sent on a nice spring day to take a wagon down to a little village by his owner. He unloads the wagon, he turns around, he's surrounded by a group of guys who tie him up. And then you would be marched to where the coffle was being held, the group of people who are going to be marched down south to South Carolina in Ball's case. And if you were a man in particular, you would be locked into the coffle. And typically this meant that you would be handcuffed and there would be a chain that was run through a ring and a collar, an iron collar around your neck, and you'd be handcuffed often to another individual, so there would be 15 or 20 pairs of men who would then be all on one chain and forced to march sometimes 700 or 1,000 miles together. Women were less likely to be handcuffed, but sometimes were as well. And you can imagine being marched 700 miles for 50 days, chained to 49 other men. This is a horrific, depressing, dispiriting kind of experience.